Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for the IPTA organization, especially the board and Mr. Goyalji and his team for the wonderful event that we've been part in since yesterday. I will speak about oxidation. Oxidation is used in many steps of the process, from treating intake water to treating the wood and then treating the final effluent. When we speak about the bleaching, there are 4 chemicals that are used. These are oxygen, hydrogen peroxide, chlorine dioxide, and ozone. Are all of these chemicals environmentally friendly? In fact, we all know that chlorine dioxide, when it's used, produces some AOX, some chlorinated compounds that are polluting. That's why they are measured in the final effluent, and we have some limitations in AOX discharge. Hydrogen peroxide does not create any pollution. It is, from that point of view, a clean chemical, but it is, until now, mainly produced from natural gas. So it is not 100% sustainable. Then we have oxygen, which is in pulp mills produced at site from air and from electricity. Electricity in pulp mills is green electricity produced by burning biomass. So oxygen is a sustainable, environmentally friendly chemical. And then we have ozone, which is produced from oxygen and from green electricity again. So today, 2 bleaching chemicals can be considered as green chemicals, oxygen and ozone. And ozone is especially the strongest oxidant available in the pulp and paper industry. It is produced, as I said, from oxygen. It is unstable, so it needs to be produced at site, and you use it after its production. It is very smelly, so we smell it at a concentration which is far below the dangerous concentration. So in case of any leak in the process, the ozone system simply shuts down. It's completely different to a chemical production process, like, for example, chlorine dioxide, that we cannot stop in 1 second. So ozone production needs a few things. The first thing that is needed is oxygen. And once ozone is produced, in fact, we have ozone in oxygen. We have ozone at 12% in the oxygen gas. We don't have pure ozone at the outlet of the ozone plant. There are 4 means to produce ozone. It's by electrical discharge, by electrolysis, cold plasma, or UV radiation. But in fact, at full scale, for large ozone capacities, only one method is applicable. It is the electrical discharge one, which means that we also need electricity. And then when we look at the chemistry, we see that theoretically, 1 kilogram ozone needs for its production only 0.8 kilowatt. But in real life, we need around 8 up to 10 kilowatt per kilogram ozone. It means that 90% of the electricity we put into the system is in fact converted to heat and needs to be removed. So we need as well some cooling water. These are the 3 items needed to produce ozone. All these items are available locally: oxygen, electricity, and cooling water. Here you can see an ozone generator vessel. It looks like a big heat exchanger because, as said, we need to remove heat by cooling water. We have on the left some holes. It's where the oxygen gas goes in, and it's where ozone is produced. These holes, in fact, are made by stainless steel tubes, and cooling water circulates around each of these tubes to cool down the system. Electrodes are made of stainless steel and glass, and in big generators, we can have up to 15,000 electrodes. For example, this is with the new technology, but with an older technology, like, for example, what has been operating at ITC Bad Salam for now 15 years, they have around 20,000 electrodes. I said it was an older technology because in 2012, ozone production technology improved significantly, because in the past it was like for chlorine dioxide, there was a need for chilled water to efficiently cool down the ozone systems. Today we can operate with cooling water temperatures up to 30 degrees, meaning we don't need to invest in any chiller and to operate any chiller. It makes availability of the ozone plant even better, because in fact failures were coming from chilling units, not much from the ozone system itself. And it reduces, of course, OPEX and CAPEX of the plant. So to produce 1 kilogram ozone at 12% by weight in oxygen, we need 8.3 kilogram oxygen, 10 kilowatt, and less than 2 cubic meter of cooling water. Oxygen being produced at site, if we consider how much energy is needed to produce oxygen, altogether, the 1 kilogram ozone needs 12.5 kilowatt. If you know the cost of your electricity, then you know the cost of ozone at your location. There are two means to mix ozone with the pulp. One supplied by Valmet. Ozone is mixed with pulp at high consistency. We have a press at the beginning, and then ozone reacts with the pulp during 1 minute. In the Z stage, it's a kind of rotor reactor. It goes to the extraction, and then we have DP. So that's a very compact bleaching sequence. In India, there is only one pulp mill using ozone at high consistency. It is ITC. They made the choice of ozone 15 years ago. Last year, they started a new fiber line, a bigger one, and they made the choice again of ozone. Their bleaching sequence is slightly different. It is DZP. There is another process supplier, of course. There are two main ones. Here is the bleaching sequence recommended by Andritz. Again, we need only 2 washers. We have ZD without any washing in the between. The ozone stage takes 1 minute. D here is 10 to 15 minutes. It's not as long as a normal D0. Then EOP on D. About pulp quality, we can say that pulp quality is better when ozone is used in reasonable amounts, meaning up to 4 to 5 kilogram ozone per ton of pulp. If going to higher doses, we'll get lower pulp quality. About the environment, if using ozone, we don't have any chlorides in the bleaching filtrates, so we can recirculate bleaching filtrates to oxygen lignification and then the recovery boiler. It means we can burn COD and we can burn color. So you see that in that comparison, by going from ECF to light ECF, COD is reduced from 28 kg per ton to 16 to 22 kg per ton. Color is also significantly reduced. AOX obviously are reduced as well because no chlorine dioxide, let's say less chlorine dioxide is used. So to bleach hardwood, we need, let's say, 4 to 5 kg ozone, 5 to 6, 7 kg chlorine dioxide, 3 kg peroxide. For bagasse with straw, it's easily done by TCF. So with ozone bleaching, it's possible to have similar or better strength properties, higher brightness stability, better effluent discharge parameters, and you can come back to my presentation of last year at the IPTA in Hyderabad, significantly lower carbon footprint of the bleaching. Depending on the country, it's from 10 to 30 kg less carbon dioxide per ton of pulp. But ozone is not used only for the bleaching. It can be used for effluent discoloration. So after secondary effluent, sometimes we need to discolor, and it can be done with ozone. Depending on how high is the COD, we need more or less ozone. For example, starting from a COD of 175 milligrams per liter, we need only 30 grams ozone per cubic meter to reach, let's say, a color level of 70. If we start from a COD of 250 milligrams per liter, we'll need around 70, 80 grams ozone per cubic meter. So discoloration is the first effect, but then if we continue adding some ozone, we as well see that the COD decreases. And if the COD decreases, it means we increase biodegradability of the effluent, which is measured as BOD on CO divided by COD. We increase the BOD-COD ratio. So because ozone is more expensive than biological treatment, once we increase the biodegradability of the effluent, it makes sense to remove the BOD that was just created by a compact biofiltration step where biology will remove the BOD and the COD linked to it. Ozone can as well be used for treatment of cooling waters. Here, the ozone dose is extremely low. We need less than 0.3 gram per cubic meter. So it's below 1 rupee per cubic meter of cooling water treated. It allows not only to replace the biocide, but to reduce the amount of water purged from the cooling towers. So not only you don't discharge biocide into your effluent treatment plant, but you discharge less water as well. So we spoke about water, we spoke about pulp. There is something else going out from pulp mills. It is the flue gas. Ozone can as well be used to remove nitrogen oxides. It is a technology supplied by Valmet, actually. It is implemented so far in pulp and paper mills in China and in Korea. And ozone oxidizes NO into NO2, which is as well oxidized into N2O5. And actually, N2O5 can be solubilized. So we have a scrubber that washes the flue gas, and we get, at the end, nitric acid. NOx discharge can be as low as 5 ppm with ozone. So it's extremely low. So in conclusion, ozone is a green chemical, the only one with oxygen, and it is produced at a very competitive cost because we need only green electricity. It can be used in pulp bleaching, in effluent treatment, in flue gas treatment. It is a very versatile chemical that once you have an ozone generation at site, you can use in many different locations. So thank you very much for your attention. Thank you very much. Don't hesitate to contact me or my colleague, Mr. Sandeep Pawar, later on. Thank you.